Here we're approaching the end of Springhall Lane after passing Asda, quite near the beginning of our driving test. We get to the crossroads in the correct side of the road, ready to go ahead. Position is good, just behind the line. Observation on the face, it would appear to be okay as it's clear to the right, but there is a car about to come into view on the left-hand side who has emerged from the other road just opposite us to the left-hand side of the camera view. This car has pulled out and then turned down the same road as us, but we've moved and approached it and got very close to it. So this was a serious fault for observation. Now we're approaching Grattricks Lane above Selby Bridge. There's a relatively straightforward right turn into this road. Parked cars lining both sides, so we know that the approach should be steady. We're potentially going to be giving way to traffic coming up the hill, problem. But if we look well ahead, which we should be doing in order to plan, we can see a large lorry, and we should also be able to see that there is a man, presumably the driver, offloading. Now that makes the gap very narrow, and what we should really be doing is holding back until he has finished what he's doing and moved out back behind the truck. But unfortunately, we squeezed past. We're now on a narrow road, and if we look well ahead we should be able to see that there's a blue car that we've been following. He just disappeared round the corner, and it's quite a sharp bend that we're about to go round, and as we go round the bend we'll catch the tail end of the blue car just disappearing round the second part of the bend. Should have really been aware that that blue car was there if we're reading the road properly. And as we come around this bend, you should really read that as having pulled up to potentially give way to oncoming traffic on this very narrow road. But unfortunately, the pupil has mistaken it for a parked vehicle and tried to overtake it, realising too late that it is actually waiting for oncoming traffic that possibly had pulled in. So we now work our way back into the proper road position. We've already committed a serious fault of poor anticipation and planning. This is a serious fault for observation on the exercise for pulling over on the right and then reversing back 2 car lengths before you move away. We're stationary, we've got over correctly, but we shouldn't have started moving because there's clearly a car coming towards us and another one. And when we approach and the cars are that near to us, we should be stationary so that we're not making their decision to overtake at all difficult. So that's a serious fault for observation. Here on the Owen Street roundabout, we're going ahead from Keighley towards the town centre. Now the silver Mercedes had put himself in the wrong lane. He should have gone to the car park. He's crossed in front of us, but at the moment we're okay because we've ended up in the middle lane going clearly towards the town centre. However, as we just come past the Premier Inn here, we make the wrong decision to move over to the right hand lane. The instruction at this point was to go towards Huddersfield, and as we can see as we pass the green sign on the right hand side, both lanes can go to Huddersfield, which means we should always be trying to use the leftmost, and we should have stayed in the lane that we're in. As we make the turn we allow the car to drift back to the left hand lane, so that's a serious fault for poor lane discipline. Now we're approaching Bull Green from the train station, and this is a mistake many people make. We've been asked to use the middle lane on approach and to leave via the second exit ahead. The approach is okay, but when we enter the roundabout, instead of staying high on the roundabout and aiming in the direction of that boarded up shop, we stayed close to the roundabout and not left room on the right hand side for anybody who had been using the right hand lane next to us. So that's a serious fault for lane discipline. Seeing there was a large arrow splitting ahead and to the right, and clearly saying that we should be going into the box that's just on our right hand side to make this turn that we're being asked to make, but instead we stayed in the running lane on the left and turned from there. So, poor anticipation for traffic lights. As we approach them quite a distance back, they go amber, and we should really have been looking to stop the car, as amber does mean stop if it's safe to do so, but the pupil was going to carry on and the examiner has had to stop them. So that's a serious fault response to traffic lights. Another example of the number one reason for failing a driving test, which is observation at junctions, in this case a busy roundabout in Huddersfield. We've approached the roundabout and got up to the line. The van on the side is initially blocking our views, so we don't go when the van goes, which would not be a good idea. But this roundabout does have 2 lanes round it, and if we look across the roundabout we can see quite a lot of traffic coming round with signals saying that they're turning. The blue car passes, as does the silver car, and then we set off, but really the rest of those cars were still coming as well, and we were going to try and cross their path or try and share space with them as we went to the left turn, which is where you see the white car disappearing now. So that was a serious fault for observation. We do eventually set off, but it's already too late. Now, another user's bad decision can still backfire on us if we don't react properly. The car headers pulled out when really they should have waited, but we've not made any attempt to slow down. We should have anticipated that that car might do that and start to slow down, but instead we've carried on at the same speed. So that's a serious fault for anticipation and planning. We're turning left into a road, and if you look closely as you turn, you'll see that this road is marked up as a one-way street with the blue arrow and this large arrow there indicating that it's one-way only, with a single lane. And at the end there are 2 lanes, one to go ahead and one to turn left only. We've been asked to go ahead, but we've clearly put ourselves in the left-hand lane, which is turn left only. So the serious fault here is response to road markings, because once the road is clear, the candidate does actually go ahead, but they're going ahead from a lane that's turn left only. Obviously what we should be doing here, so that's a serious fault response to road markings, but what we should be doing here is making sure that we spot the road markings and obey them properly. If we do make the mistake and put ourselves in this left-hand lane, then we could easily have just turned left, and then there would have been no fault committed, assuming that you would complete the left turn safely. And the examiner would have just given some new instructions and would not have failed as they did on this example when the pupil does actually start to move ahead. Finally, we see the importance of making sure that you have your car in the correct gear. We're about to make a left turn, second left. They're very close together. And we're coming up now. It's a very shallow left turn, so make sure that you cancel your signal after you've made the turn, because otherwise it may look like you're turning left into the yard coming up, which could catch you out if somebody's trying to pull out. But that's not the fault on this occasion. The examiner will have given the instruction that there's a sharp turn on your left hand side. Listen to those extra pieces of information, because the examiner is basically warning you to get down into a lower gear, first or second. Unfortunately that was ignored, and as we turn the corner in third it conks out and we get a serious fault for gears. So I hope you found some of those. Thank you.